All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to week number 2. My name is Chef Jamal. Thanks for hanging out with us. Today we're going to be traveling to West Africa. Has anyone been to West Africa or had some food from West Africa?
I think I did once. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember what it was?
Okay. No.
Okay, that's all right. But today we're all going to go on a little adventure, right? We are going to travel to West Africa and cook some Yassa chicken. So we're going to talk about some safety stuff, super important. We're going to talk about some sanitation stuff, and then we're going to talk about everything else. So first things first, as we are cooking, we need to make sure that if we have any questions or any concerns that we ask an adult. We have about 4 adults here, but raise your hand. You can just say, stop real quick, anything. Safety is always first. And for those at home, make sure you have an adult with you while you're cooking. All right. So we all washed our hands for 20 seconds, right? You know, with a little bit of warm water, some soap. We got in there. We did underneath the nails. Are we singing songs still while we wash our hands, right? Or like humming a little tune, like a little, what was it, Happy Birthday? Is that it? That's twice? I like that. Twice? Fantastic. Those little plaques. That works out. So we're going to keep rolling. So today our protein is going to be chicken. Last week, do you remember what our protein was?
Chickpeas?
Yes, thank you. Phenomenal. So last week we had a vegetable for a protein. This week we are going to have an animal for a protein. So we are assuming that we're going to have some leftover stuff and you're going to have some goodies to take with you. So at that point, it's super crucial that when you leave here from that point, you have 2 hours to get that stuff in the refrigerator. No reason to get sick. We're just going to grab that, put it in the fridge, and don't forget, like when I was a kid, I used to stuff it in my backpack, and then like 2 days later, I'd be smelling something, thinking I needed to take a shower, but it's my bag. So don't be like Jamal, be better, right? Okay. So we prepare for class before class. So as you can see, you have ingredients measured out, ready to rock and roll. And if you're home, you're going to get a nice little package of some pre-measured out things. Super crucial to conduct what we like to call mise en place before we actually start cooking so we can be organized and super clean. As we are going through and working today, we are going to assume that everything is hot. So if it can go in a stove or near a stove, we're going to assume that it's hot. Non-negotiable, we'll be using hot pads for everything. So if we're picking up a handle to put on a pot, if we're moving a pot, we're going to make sure that we stay super safe and that we're using these hot pads. We're not going to use these guys. We're going to use these guys. Since we're working with a new protein, new to us in class, it's going to be super crucial that we keep our workstation clear and clean and keep the meat and like everything else separated. So if you can see my station right now, underneath there's a bunch of protein, right? And it's separate from everything else. That's the standard that we would like to have. Because cross-contamination is a super bad thing. Do we know what that is? Do we know what cross-contamination is? Yeah, it's like putting, what was it? Chicken juice on a nice salad.
You don't want that.
Right, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
I've actually come across a form of salad that requires that.
Oh, really? What is that?
I'm forgetting the actual name.
Oh, we'll link up about that later. Oh, yeah.
I found one of these, I found it in a cooking magazine my dad had.
Oh, how old is the cooking magazine now? The 60s, 70s? They're doing weird things back then. No offense to anyone in the room.
There's tomato chocolate cake.
A noodle chocolate cake?
Tomato chocolate cake.
Oh. Okay. And then while we're doing everything in class, we're going to take our time, right? There's no need to rush anything. We're going to go through this nice and slow, and we're going to have fun. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to like seep out of our ears and our pores, and it's going to stick with you until next Wednesday when we do this again. All right, so we ready? Cool. So we washed our hands, we washed our stations, super sanitary, ready to rock and roll. And now we are going to talk about Yassa chicken, right? So did we have leftovers or like chickpeas that we took home? Did we do something with our chickpeas? Like, yeah, did you do anything to it? You just heated it up and just... Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Rice.
You took rice? Did you like...
I ate it.
Did you ate it? So I would suggest, if we take home rice again, put it in the fridge, maybe like think about what's another way we can repurpose it. Like, so if we make a bunch of, so if we make a bunch of rice, we can take that and put it on like a little sheet pan, right? Put it in the fridge, and then it's all gonna dry out. And then when we're super hungry for dinner, we just throw it in a really hot pan with some veggies and then do our thing, and that's fried rice, right? We just took regular rice and made fried rice. That's killer. Leftovers are key. So let's go through our ingredients and then we'll do our thing. So the big pot should be on top. Can we switch those two pots around for us? And so the little one, we're gonna take that off, and then put the big guy on. We are going to, so let's do this step by step. So chicken's underneath here. So this is gonna be our chicken stock, right? This little guy, you can start grabbing your ingredients, they're underneath there. And then supreme to your left, my right are going to be the ingredients. Yeah. So as I talk about it, you just like point at it, bring it up, shake it, so we all understand what's happening. So this is going to be our chicken stock or our chicken bouillon in a dry form, right? Let me see that. Let me get a little shake, a little maraca. Yep. Give it a little shake. Cool. And then we have our Dijon mustard that we're going to be marinating with. That's this guy. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then we should have one of these, which is going to be our oil. Perfect. And then we should have one of these cute little bundles, right? A little lemon, some garlic, and some peppers, sweet. We should have olives, nice green olives, right? We should have 3 onions on our station, 3 beautiful yellow onions, ready to go. Yes. And we should have 2 sets of water. One should be slightly bigger than the other one, and they should both be labeled. One says rice, and the other one says chicken.
This is stock.
That's good. Yeah. And then our rice.
I see that too. Okay.
Cool. Salt and pepper. What's
Wait, is this pepper? Okay.
salt and pepper? Cool. Salt and pepper? Yeah. Nice. And I have chicken, so we're great. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna nope, that's a lie. I'm gonna put on these gloves. I'm gonna hand you these bags of chicken. We are going to, now when we say workstations is our power stations or stations that we're gonna be cooking at is the one in front. So your controls are gonna be actually in front, so you're gonna have to go around and conjugate there. And then since it's just 3 guys, you guys can just do it right there. Cool, so I'm gonna give you a bag of chicken that was marinated for about 24 hours. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, let's just put on some gloves. Yeah, nice. We're gonna take the chicken, we're gonna separate the chicken from the onions. Should be super simple. And then we're gonna start cooking those down, right? Come on.
I know what you know about.
All right, so from last week, do we remember how to put on our induction stoves?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I do.
That's all right. So everyone should be plugged in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna press and hold the lock button for 3 seconds. And then it should beep, right? And that light at the top left should go away. And then we're gonna hit the power button. And then we're gonna hit the steam button that's right to the left of the power button twice.
Oh, the steam button.
Yeah, you see that? Bop. Great. So while we're doing that, we're gonna take our plate in front of us. All right. We're gonna keep it on 320. And then we're gonna use our tongs, right? And we're gonna take out our chicken from this bag. Thank you. Yeah, we can put the white bin. We can put the white bin back underneath the table, please. So a little bit of space. Cool. So I'm just separating the chicken. So I'm just taking that out of the bag because we're gonna we're gonna brown that up first. So our pan's starting to heat up, right? So last week I showed you how we can start cooking in a cold pan. We're gonna let this heat up for a second. I have this guy, this oil. So if our pan's on, we're gonna go twice around the world with this guy. And that's gonna be about 2 tablespoons, right? So watch this right here. Eyes up. Thank you. So one of these, and then one of these. Great. So chicken is coming out. Our pan's heating up. Perfect. Oh, the oil's right there. You can just drop that whole thing in there, Supreme. Thank you. All right. Taking out the chicken. And we're probably going to have to do this in batches. We don't want to overcrowd our pan. And the best way to brown is that we're going to put in the protein and then just let it set. All right, chicken's out of the bag.
How many slices, chef, should they have? How many pieces should they have?
We should have 6 pieces in there. Fantastic. All right. We don't have to close it. Don't close it. Just leave it open. All right. So now let's go around to our cooking station, but we're going to watch what I do first, right?
Okay.
Ready? So I'm just going to put this guy right in here. And that's the sound we should hear, right? If we hear something, if we don't hear anything, if it's mute, we're going to take it out. We're going to check our situation to make sure it's hot. So we're going to put the rest of these guys in. So let's start doing that. So let's, Supreme and Sam, let's go around to it so we're not reaching over with that hot oil. So just come around to the other side of the station. Yes. Together, everybody. See what's happening. And I'm just going to place these all in there and I'm going to let it sit. Once I put it in there, don't move it. Super important to just not move it. Yeah, it looks like our pot, all of them. Alex, can we open the door, please, and thank you? So normally, like when we, hey guys, check it out. So you can't hear me if you're talking, right? So please. So we're putting in the chicken into the pot, right? And then once we do that, we're going to let it sit for a couple of minutes and we're going to turn it 4 times because we want to get as much of this browned as possible. And it should just be about 3 minutes and then we turn. 3 minutes and then we turn. So we're going to be multitasking while we do that. So we're going to be listening and smelling. If it smells a little burnt, we need to make sure we check our pot. If there's burnt stuff on the bottom at some point, that's okay. We'll take care of that. All right? Cool. So we'll put our tongs down. And we'll step away from that for a second. And I'm going to take off my gloves because I'm done handling that chicken. All right? Oh, golly. Yeah, because we're not handling the chicken. Did I just... It's an option. It's optional. We have more gloves. It's okay. All right, so as that caramelizes, or as we brown that, we'll talk a little bit more about rice, because that's going to be an essential part of what we're doing. So I'm going to check my chicken. Starting to brown a little bit. Careful.
Chef, how much brown do you want?
We want a decent amount. What are we looking at? Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Let's turn a little bit. Yep. How are we looking? Yeah, that's great. All right. So do we know what happens when we're browning, like anything? We're searing the outside. We're locking in the juices. We're starting a really complex flavor profile on our chicken. We're adding a little bit of sugar to the dish. All right, so now is a good time for us to start the process of making our marinade. So we're gonna go home with chicken, so we need to make that marinade. So the first thing we wanna do is we're gonna start chopping our onions. So we have bowls, right? We have those big bowls in front of us. Let's bring that close to our workstation because once we cut our onions, we're gonna put it into that. Yep, that's the one. All right. So last week, we cut some onions last week, right? So remember how to do that? So we're gonna cut this guy off, we're gonna cut this guy off, and now we're gonna cut it like this. So watch. So we're gonna watch, and then we're gonna cut. So knives down, we're watching first, so one of these. Excuse me, let me back up. Let's talk about our tools that we're using in order to do this. So our knife, right? So the proper way to hold this is going to be to pinch at the bolster. The bolster is where the handle and the blade meet. So we're going to do a nice little pinch. And once we do that, we're going to start to gain control of the knife. And then after that, we're just going to slowly curl or lightly curl our fingers around the handle. It's not going to be a super grip, it's going to be a nice comfortable grip because the knife is going to be an extension of my arm, right? So we want it to kind of look like this. So when we're doing things, we understand what's happening. So we got that, right? And then when we are touching our product with our other hand, we're going to use, it's going to be a couple different methods. So it might be the okay, right? So when we're cutting our olives, we're going to put our olives down and do this. With this guy, I'm going to grab it like this and make sure that our fingers are back because we want to keep our digits for tomorrow and the day after that, and especially for next week when you guys show up. So I'm going to cut the tip off just like this. And then I'm going to come through and one of these. And I'm going to keep my station clean, all right? So for me, I can just put it right down here. And we'll peel off the first layer. And make sure we're checking our chicken. I can smell some good stuff happening. All right, so we're checking our chicken. We're making sure that it's all nice and brown on all sides. So we should have one more turn after this one. All right, so I'm clearing up my cutting board, looking at our onions. All right, so let's make those first couple cuts. Table 2. All right, make sure that we're focused and we're paying attention. So we're going to get back to our stations. We're going to get our onions to this point. Remember how to do that? So we're going to chop off the top.
Where your fingers go?
We're tucking back our fingers. Yeah, perfect. Keep them on, yep. So we're cutting, so we're doing this, perfect. So we're cutting the tip. A little bit more. Perfect. And now we're spinning it around. And now we're cutting off that little piece. So the way we're holding it, so when we're holding it, the knife, Just pinch it. Right. Yes, that's going to give you a lot more control so you can make those cuts. Okay. And then we cut it right in half. So we're going to put it on the flat side. No, you're good. So let's turn it right there, and then cut it straight down the middle while tucking our fingers away. Yes, perfect. And then we're going to peel that first layer off because we can't, that doesn't cook well. And we're going to put that in an empty container or our compost underneath. Yes. Hi. I mean, it's probably an age spot, right? So we might be able to just cut around it or peel it off. What are we thinking? Is that it? Yeah. All right, we're checking our chicken, right? We're multitasking. We're working on our onion. We're looking at our chicken.
You ready to check the chicken? Let's check the chicken. You got a few for the first time.
All right. If they need it. So browning our chicken is going to give us a nice, this dish essentially is it's a really simple dish of what is grown wild in this part of the world, right? So they have onions and ginger and fresh peppers that grow wild in West Africa. So that's why this dish is like really a staple for us for this part of the world. The meats can be alternated with chicken and lamb and seafood. The crucial part to understand about the history of this dish is the marinade is very important because it breaks down the meat, because the meat is usually caught and then cooked. So it's super tough. So if you were to get like a really wild piece of meat, you need to figure out a way to tenderize it. A lot of different cultures, a lot of different cultures do that with their meat, and we can talk about that. What's your, yes?
I know 3 ways to do that.
Yes.
Onion, pineapple, and honey.
Yeah, so,
And time to make it tender.
yeah, so there's a couple things in common. So the second thing was the pineapple, right?
No, pineapple.
Honey? Oh, and then did you say pineapple?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so onions break it down. The acid in the pineapple breaks it down. And I've never used honey to tenderize something. Ooh, okay. All right, so at this point, I'm taking my chicken out. My chicken right here.
Do you have your cutting boards or your plate? Plate.
Yep, so we're gonna, if we have turned our chicken 4 times and it looks something like this, we're gonna take it out. Because we're not cooking it right now, we're just browning it. Yes. Yes.
Look good and does it look nice and brown? Like all sides? And remember, you're just browning it, you're not cooking it, yeah?
So how are we looking? One more turn? We're done? Let's pull it out.
I think they put the raw chicken on there.
What's that?
They put the raw chicken on there. And
That's fine.
it's fine?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Remember, you're just browning, you haven't cooked it yet.
Yeah, it's gonna cook. Perfect. And then we're gonna take that bag of onions and lemon and peppers, and we're just gonna throw it into our pot at the same temperature because we want this to caramelize or caramelize. Yep. Just dump it right in. So we're just gonna put it in and just let it be. The less we move it, the better end product that we have. And we really, really, really want this to caramelize. So we're just gonna, you guys remember that commercial? It's set it and forget it. Who, Billy Mays or something like that? No? Okay, I just dated myself. Awesome. So we're gonna get it in there. And I'm just gonna make sure it's all settled. We should still hear that sizzle. Did we hear a sizzle when we dropped it in, right? I shook mine a little bit so everything kind of just goes down and I don't need to get a different utensil.
Chef, do we want to hang on to these bags and we use these bags again?
No, we have fresh bags. Yeah, so we can just throw this away.
Yeah, let's move that off. Yeah, put it in your, you have a garbage.
Is that compost or is that it's compost?
Plastic is a compost.
Okay. Thanks, guys. And we can just put that underneath now. Please and thank you. All right, so there's no trash on our table, right? Super clean station. We have onions. We have onions caramelizing, right? And now we're going to start the rest of the other marinade. So we're going to take this onion, right? And we just want to make little slits. We want to do nice slices, right, of half moons, essentially. So we see the natural lines in the onion, right? If we look down at our onion, we see these lines, right? So there's a couple different ways to do this. So we can go all the way down the lines if we want to, or we can just go straight down and get a similar product. Both are okay and both are fine. They're just different ways to get to the same end goal. So the way we're going to do it today is just, we're going to work on our knife skills, right? Really simple. We're not going to do it this way. Maybe later, a couple weeks from now, right, when we graduate a little bit. We're just going to curl our fingers away. I'm holding the product, by the way, just so we're all clear. Like when you're doing this, this gives me control and it tucks my fingers away. I'm holding it. So if I need to do something like do a quick quarter turn or something, that's there. So this blade is touching my finger. And what I see on the other side is what I'm cutting. So we're measuring every time we cut. And we're doing one of these motions because we're utilizing the entire blade. We're utilizing the entire blade. Just picture that for a second, that this product and this really sharp knife, I just made a small cut, just like that. So if we're doing too much, that means we're not doing this motion right here. So check this out, just so everyone can see. My knife is down while I'm doing something else. I'm putting my chicken over here. Thank you. Everyone can see, yes? Thank you. And just nice and easy. Not super big, because we want this to kind of break down in 24 hours. You see how it's just nice and consistent, and I'm just slowly moving my hand, adjusting. If we get to a point where we can't manage this, putting it down, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay, right? And I'm just going to finish this guy off. And that's my half. Now let's get started on ours. So then when we cut that half, we're going to put it in the bowl in front of us and then work on the second half. Okay, so. Huh? So let's take our glove off then. Because we don't want that in there. Let's take it out. That's fine. All right, so 1 second. So we're gonna utilize a rocking motion. So when we put our knife down, it's gonna go like this. So when you go down, you should be done with your cut. So you shouldn't have to like do that. So try it out. Yeah, but start the motion up top. So go ahead, and so we're gonna go like that. So bring it back, and then go down, and then forward.
Oh, okay.
Right. So before you get there, you're like kind of grazing through the whole thing. Try it again. You're right. You want to move this out of the way? Here, just take those onions and just put those right in here. Give you some space. All right, great. Let's try it again. That's so much better, just in 10 seconds. You can just let that go. Just let that, let's put that in there. That's fantastic. So we're cutting up these onions, right? We're putting it in a bowl. presents. I come bearing gifts. Thank you. Hi.
Can we give her just a little back up here?
Yeah.
Like just-
Hold on. So let's pause real quick. So we have a bunch of stuff on our board. So if this is done, let's put that in there. Give yourself a chance, right? Oh, stop. Sorry. Let's put our knife down and just use our, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then once we clear up our board, I'll show you how to get this done. This one trash?
Yeah.
All right. Oh. All right. And this stuff, yeah, that one's done. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so that's, and then tucking it away. And then, see that motion you did at the end? Let's pause real quick. This, let's do it like this. Yep. And down and forward. Down and forward. And that should cut it. Down and then just, yep. And then we can flip this piece down and you can just cut that. So just like before we get there, we're starting to go forward. Before we touch the product, we're starting to go forward. Think. Yes. Yes. And then if we change our grip on the knife, so we're gonna pinch it right there. And now let's try that forward motion again. That's all right. So we're gonna have another half of an onion and we'll keep trying. All right, let's make sure we're putting those onions in the bowl. We're keeping our workstation super clean. We're checking our onions in the pot, right? Because we don't want them to burn. They want to caramelize. So we can use our tongs that we were using before and kind of give it a nice little stir.
There's a piece of chicken in here.
It's all right. Is it a whole leg or is it just a piece of chicken? Oh, let's take the leg out, please. That's all right. They're all going to get to know each other soon enough. All right, we're using hot pads, right? So do we see like a lot of browning in our onions there? You smell that? Now, if we just waft our pot, we're going to smell a different onion that's on our cutting board onion. It's going to be sharp, right? And then this over here in the pot is going to be sweet. Do we smell the difference?
Everybody hearing that?
What's-
Supreme, Sam, did you guys hear Chef?
Yeah, we're gonna smell a different smell, right?
What
Yes.
kind of a smell?
I gotta see the smell. It smells sweet.
You ready? You want to, can I steal that from you? Yeah. All right. We're just gonna cut it over here. Is that all right? Okay. All right, let's do it one more time. So the pinch. So we're gonna pinch, yeah, and a nice soft handle, right? And then let's start the motion before we get. Yes. Now and then forward, and then forward, and then forward. You're getting there. That's nice. And then let's pause and then flip it down. Yes. That's it. So we're putting our cut onions, right, in the bowl. Our station looks better than mine because what? We're trying to do better than me, right? So this is a no-no. Okay. So we're caramelizing that, and now we are going to take out our garlic from that little container. We're going to take out our garlic from the little container. Everyone should have one. So we're smashing our garlic, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the way of what? No, we're no. Hold on, guys. We're gonna pause a second. I love the chatter. I love the talking and the communication, but if you can't hear me, we're gonna have some safety issues, right? So I don't want anyone to get cut. I don't want anyone to get burned. We don't want any issues. We want to have a good time, and in order to do that, we have to know what we're doing and what we're doing next. So great question. You want to know what's happening. Fantastic questions. I love questions. what we're gonna do with our garlic today, because we're done with our onions, yeah? Almost?
Yeah.
All right, we'll give you a second. So we're not gonna cut the tip off. We're just gonna take this guy because it's going into marinade. And we're gonna take our knife, tuck it away a little bit, and we're just gonna put it underneath. And then think of something that we don't really like today and just a little smash, right? And it's just a little smashed garlic. And we're just gonna take that and then put that into this container. We're gonna smash the garlic and then put it in this container because this container is gonna start our marinade. Oh, hands. I was like, my voice? Okay. We're gonna put our garlic. So let's take the garlic out, and we're gonna get this container. All right, so we put the smashed garlic inside of the start of our marinade, right? So I'm just gonna keep going with mine. Pop. Okay, and then while we're working on that, we're also gonna take our Dijon mustard, right? So this recipe, if we were to use a different kind of mustard, we would probably get a really different flavor profile. So some other mustards have too much sugar, some have a really tangy taste. This is gonna be perfect for what we're doing. So we're just gonna boop, put that in there. And then there'd be, right? We're putting the mustard in there, and we're gonna leave it open because we're not quite done with that guy yet. All right. Almost there. And we're checking our onions too, right? How's our onions doing? Fantastic. So our onions should be, turning from white to this like beautiful golden brown situation, yeah? And it's not just onions in our pot. So in our pot, it's gonna be some onions, some garlic, some lemon peel, some lemon juice, and that's what we're smelling. We're smelling a combination of things. So once we get that caramelized, we're gonna put our chicken back in and some other stuff, right? So now we're gonna take out a little pepper, and we're just gonna give some nice rough chops because we just wanna put that into our marinade. And just be super careful. So I would suggest someone who has a glove on to cut it to save ourselves any tears later, right? So super safe. To be super safe, we're gonna cut this, and then with our glove on, glove and glove, fantastic. And we can just nice, slow, rough chops, right? Kind of like how we cut our onion, and we're gonna keep the seeds. The heat in this dish is not gonna be as pronounced as you think because it's gonna dull down as it marinates and like it hits with the onions, and then there's the lemon juice, and then it marinates into the chicken, and then we'll cook it all down together, right? So a lot of these, and then I don't want the tip. And if we handle the onion with our raw hands, this is a good time to wash our hands, right? So, but we're good because we have our gloves on. So we're gonna put that now into our container with our marinade. Yes, you can. And actually, at this point, we're gonna do our lemon. We're gonna add our lemon. So we are going to. So So last week we zested like this, right? We used the box grater and we zested it. That's one way to do it, right? So we can do it that way. We can also use a peeler, right, to get the skin off. Or we can cut this guy off, create a landing spot, super safe, and then we can just cut the skin off and add it to it. So sometimes zesting like this with the zester, that's one way to do it, but there's other ways to get to the same place. Just like how we can cut the onion in multiple ways, we can do that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut the tip. Now it's super sturdy, a lot safer, super, super sturdy. And then I'm just going to, same technique, pinching, and I'm just gonna, how do we feel about that, right? So I'm just gonna keep going around. So there's one, right, per station. So we're gonna do one, and we're gonna pass it to our new best friend. And then we're gonna cut one, and then pass it to our other new best friend. And now we're gonna cut it, and then until we're done, right? So let's get started with that. So we cut the tip, or the bottom, or the top, doesn't matter which one. Tucking our fingers away, and then turning it upright. And then just doing this, right? So I'm still doing the same technique, right? See how my fingers are curled away? And they're away.
Take your time, bro. No worries.
It's okay, you don't have to do the white part. It's the yellow part, the most important part, right?
Got it? You good? How'd it feel?
Oh, that was nice.
All right, let's pass it on. Everybody get some love. So we're gonna take this and put it right in here.
No, you don't think that.
No, not that one. You can compost that. Hold on. So the thing about the shape of the lemon, right? I'm gonna stand over here. Think about the shape of the lemon. This motion. I'm turning a little bit. So I'm starting this way. I'm starting with it like a right here. And then I kind of curl it down towards the end because I want to get that last piece. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chef, if we lost a little on the bottom, can we flip it?
Say again?
If we lost a little on the bottom, can we cut the top and flip it?
Yeah, totally. We can adjust as we go. Because we need a better handle on it.
We're just getting a little extra flesh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that. We want to utilize as much of it as possible. And then once it's all. All right, we're going to pause. We're going to pause real quick. How are we doing? Get it? All right, so let's put it down here. All right, so this is going to be your guys. So cut it towards me, right? Okay. And then, there you go. That's better. Yeah, just pass it on. And then take the lemon peels and then put it right in this container. Yep, so what I want you to just focus on that right there. And then focus on slowly turning the knife, and then we're tucking our fingers away. Oh, stop. Your finger is right here. We almost lost you. I want you to stay, right? Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Low song. Yes. 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 Fantastic. Thank you.
Anna, you want to ask about
Oh, let's find out. This is so good. This looks so good. And we're about to move to our next step. This is so good. Also so good. So let's finish up this marinade real quick so we can get to this so we can get to this delicious thing that's happening right in front of us, right? So cutting this in half, and this is us utilizing the entire item that we purchased, right? So just real nerd cook thing real quick. If you buy this for $1, right, and you use it just for its juice, there's a whole other part of the lemon that we wasted. But if we zest it and then use this juice, we utilized 100, well, that's a lie because we're still gonna throw away the rest of it. But we get more value, we get more per dollar. We're gonna put our juice, we're just gonna squeeze our juice into this container, right? So let's get that done.
You cut it in half, right?
Cut it in half, please. Tucking our fingers away. Mm-hmm. Nope. Okay, let's stop. Yep, nope. 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 Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you. Great.
Wait, what was I doing wrong?
It looked like a finger was about to get lost from back there. I'm also losing my vision, so I want to see it up close, right? So let's get that squeezed into there, please.
Just like,
Yeah, just squeeze it.
all right.
And we can,
Does it matter which piece?
no, both sides, all of it. All of it, all of it. Let's squeeze the whole lemon into that guy.
Are seeds supposed to be in there?
Seeds. What's gonna happen if you swallow a seed? I swallowed so many seeds, come on.
Actually, fruit seeds have seeds.
A large, like if you put a large amount of it, right?
Two cherry seeds is not
I've swallowed probably 3.
Right? Hi.
Face with them about how they park their knives. So they're always like,
Oh, yeah. All right, so, yep. So real quick, safety real quick. So we see how I'm done, I'm not using my knife, right? So it's up here, the blade is away from me. So if I'm getting to my board and I have to do something, I'm not accidentally hurting myself, right? Okay, yes, right at the top. So that's in there, we're gonna find the lid. We're gonna find the lid for this container and we're gonna shake it on up. We're gonna seal it, we're gonna make sure it's nice and tight. And then I'm just gonna give it a nice little shake. Think about a Sunday morning walk. Think about eating this food. Shake it up. And that's great. And we're gonna set that aside. Now our onions, now let's go to at this point, let's clear up our station. And we're gonna go to our onions. That should be good, just a little bit, and we're good.
Not too much.
All right, so we take our lemons off our cutting board. We're tucking those away, and now, so I'm checking my onions. They look pretty good, and at this point, we're gonna add the chicken back in. We're gonna put our chicken back in. Just right on top. We're gonna add our chicken right on top of the caramelized onions. And we're gonna, once we do that, we're gonna look for our water that has chicken on it and our chicken stock. Right? So if one person's putting the chicken and the other person's getting the stock ready, right? We're working as a team to get this done. Okay. Cool. So, opening this guy up, and I'm just gonna take the chicken bouillon, put that right in there, and just kind of give it a little swirl. Thank you for checking. And then we're just gonna give it a nice little, a nice little stir up.
Not too much or else it might come out the lid like what Chef experienced.
My chicken's in, my onions are in. And we're gonna add that liquid right into the pot. Thank you. And what we should see is most of our chicken is submerged in liquid. If it doesn't look like that, we should do something, but it should, and it will. So let's just add that right into the pot. And if you need to adjust it, but we want to have the onions on the bottom and the chicken on top. I'm here. What?
That's good, right?
Oh no, we got it.
All your chicken covered? Almost good.
Great. That's great. Now let's put the top on that, and I have a timer ready to go. And we're going to let that rock for about 30 minutes. Okay, so now is a great time to clear our stations, wash our hands, and take a 10-minute break. So that means...
Is the dijon or this
No. So that means at 7:47, we're back at our stations ready to rock and roll. So we're going to clear off our cutting board. No, we're going to leave our cutting board, excuse me. We're just going to clear off everything that we're not using. And then put that in our bins, wash our hands, and then come back. Thank you.
African
Katie's here. Are we ready? Chef's calling you back.
Hands are washed, we're at our stations, ready to rock and roll, right? All right. So, oh, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's
That's $5.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, welcome back. So, so we have our chicken, right? Slowly going down. We should probably take a peek at those, right? So hands are washed and we're good to go, right? We're all sanitized. Cool. So everything is hot, right? We're assuming everything's hot. So we're gonna check this. So it shouldn't be boiling away rapidly. We should just have like a nice, slow sort of situation. And if it is, boiling, So let's turn it down 1, right? So that's gonna bring us down to 210. And then we'll just see how that looks. We'll give it a couple minutes, we'll see how that looks. Because we don't wanna, this is not a fast thing. This is a slow, you can put this in the oven, you can pressurize this and put this in an Instapot. But for us, this is the tempo and speed that we're gonna go at. Now, do we smell that? What are we smelling? Are we smelling just onions? Are we smelling peppers? It's like sweet, right? Okay. Yeah, so that sweetness is coming from 2 places. So it's coming from us caramelizing the onions, right? Which is like it was slow, it was nice and low. So that's gonna produce a lot of sweetness. And then we have sweetness in the chicken because we also brown the outsides of that. Okay, so let's finish cutting so we can then get our cutting boards out of the way. So these guys are gonna be like the garnish at the end when we're ready for everything. So these olives, the way we're gonna cut these today. So we're gonna cut these with our OK cutting hand. So instead of cutting it north and south, right? We're gonna cut it just right down the middle so we can see this beautiful inside. So I'm gonna make this okay. I'm gonna put the knife in and then just slowly bring it out. And then it should look like this. If we do it like this, that's not what we're looking for today, all right? So let's get these guys done. And then once we're done, we're gonna put those back into our container that we have on the table. All right, you may proceed to cut safely and slowly. No rush. All the little guys. So we're making the OK finger, we're putting the tip of the knife in, and then we're pulling it out slowly. So let's make the OK first with our olive. Okay. And then I'm just putting the tip of the knife in and then slowly bring it back. Nope. So we're gonna, all right. So we're gonna, yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. Like this, right?
Are we still cutting?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You feel good?
Yeah, like this.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Let's take a couple out. All right.
So cut it like okay.
Okay. And then just a tip in and then, yep.
Make the rest yourself, girl.
So then I'm gonna keep cutting so you can use me as a reference, right? So if you have any questions, you can look at me. So I'm okay, tips in, and then it's back out.
You can split them up between the three of you. I'll get a little pile. Where did mine go? Oh, Rob, no pimento. Can we send those back?
We'll start a little pile.
Start the whole recipe over.
Right. So remember last week we used chickpeas as our protein. This week we use chicken as our protein. What's the other protein?
That's 2 in a row.
What's the other protein that we could use in a dish like this? Fish, seafood. Especially for this dish, right? The origins of it says that we can use seafood. We can use seafood, we can use lamb, we can use chicken. Lamb in this dish would probably be so tasty. Lamb is very expensive, but there are affordable cuts that we can use.
What can you get it yourself?
Like the whole lamb yourself? Yeah. Are you asking a question? If we get it ourselves, is it cheaper? Yeah, because then you would pay. So when you buy that, if you buy a whole piece of meat, what you're paying a large portion of is someone taking the time to break it all down for you. That's why it's good to have like connections. Yeah, so like that's why a lot of people do like, oh, let's go in and buy a pig or an animal of any sorts. And then they share different parts of it. Or you get 15 pounds and you get 15 pounds, and then it's all cut up by a butcher and then you can freeze it. And then you take this big expensive piece of meat and you made it super affordable. So I'm gonna keep cutting away. So when we're cooking at home and we're thinking about what we wanna eat, right? It's good to think about what's on our plate. So for us today, we have a nice starch, and we have a protein, and if we added a vegetable to this, like if we were to just like cook up some greens on the side, it'd be a nice full plate.
With this finger, almost that one, I'm gonna bring it back in there a little bit. See how you got it? You're actually bringing that finger around. You're right there. Big finger, yeah.
Okay. Just gonna finish this guy up. All right. Whoop. So I think we're done with our cutting board. Once we're done with our olives, we're done with our cutting board, we're done with our knives. So knife skills, we're done with that for today. So you can breathe a sigh of relief. We made it. All right, so let's take our cutting board and our knife and put it into our dirty bin safely. So let's do one at a time. So put our knife to the side. Hold on. Put our knife to the side. We're putting our knife to the side, and then we're grabbing our cutting board, putting that under. And then actually leave your knife on the table, and then we're just going to go around and collect those. Thank you. Yeah, that's way easier. Thank you. All right. All right, so what we should have on our table is going to be our rice water, our rice. So in front of us should be, once again, our rice water and our rice. There should be salt and pepper always, right? That's extra water. That's okay. We can keep that on top too. That's just in case our wonderful chicken over here, our Yassa chicken, needs a little bit more love. But I think we're okay. Great. That's great. Let's check our chicken. Let's make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let's put our hot pads on and peek at it. Let's peek. Take a peek with you. Did we turn it down already?
Yeah, we did.
Oh my Lanta. What do we think of this?
I mean, I like it. It's like it's gonna make it be like fall off the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna let that rock and roll. Let's lift it up one more time. No, I would like a little bit more, and then there should be extra water, and we'll just put a little touch.
Just a little touch.
Just a little touch. Yep. And then just give it a nice little stir. So I did that because if this gets super thick, right, it might burn.
Oh, actually? Even though it's in water and
So the liquid, great. That's a great question. So we have extra water. We have extra water on the side because if this are really thick liquid, if we kind of like lose the water out of it, right? What's going to happen is we're going to start to burn because it's just like a lot of sugars, natural sugars that are there. That looks really good. So now we're going to do something super fun. We're going to finish the part that we take home, right? So what I'm going to do we're going to put on some more gloves, right? Those onions that we cut we're going to put them all together, right? All of our stuff right here, we're going to put it together. It's like TV magic, right? I'm just pulling out more stuff. It's just right here. Oh yeah, they cook like 4 meals and they're like, man, let's put this one here. So this is what I'm going to do. Take this, put that right there. Okay, so can I have someone bring the onions from over there? And can I have someone to bring the onions over there? And we're going to put it into this container. Just dump it, please. Sweet. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then can I have someone else bring over the marinade? And we're just going to add that to it. Dump it in. And then if you didn't come up, you probably have gloves on, right? Mm-hmm. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up.
Oh, no.
So everyone can just gather over here real quick. We're just going to work. We're just going to work on this because this is all of ours. So we're all going to make sure that we know what happened to it and what is happening to it, right? Okay, so we're just going to kind of do one of these and kind of break down and then mix it all together, right? So let's take turns doing that. Don't be shy. Yeah.
Hannah's all grossed out, but she's just like the first one. Yep.
That's good. We can pass it on to someone else. You can. And you could take your gloves off and you can wash your hands, please and thank you. Anyone else? Here we go. All right, thank you. Take your gloves off. We can wash our hands. So this is kind of like breaking down the onions a little bit, introducing it to everything that's happening. And like we talked about earlier, the onions are going to help tenderize the chicken. Because If it's super tough, if we just caught this, if we just butchered this chicken, or if we just butchered this lamb, because we're talking about a dish from West Africa, we want it to get as soft and tender as possible. So this is one way of doing that. Thank you so much. No? You sure? I don't want to pressure you, but the opportunity's there. Awesome. Hi.
Somebody from that neighborhood. He wanted to know what country Yassa Chicken's from.
What?
Senegal?
Yeah.
Senegal. Yeah.
It's influenced by French cooking. That's okay.
The French in Senegal is, that's the second language.
Yeah, because so this is great. This is a great segue. Did we all hear that?
No.
Can you say it? I have a pronouncing sometimes. Senegal.
So Senegal is a country in West Africa.
Yep.
Go ahead.
That this dish originates from, right? Thank you so much. And you can take your glove off and then wash your hands. And I'm also going to wash my hands here in a second. But we're just going to talk about this, and then we're going to check our chicken because our timer's almost up. So, when food travels around the world, right, and there's a lot of different influences that happen. This dish that we have here is very native to Senegal, but also with that, there's other influences into it. So French cuisine is also influencing this. So if you heard of a dish called coq au vin, right, it's similar. It's similar. There's this onion aspect. There's this slow roasting aspect. And that's going to give you this rich and deep flavor. When we taste this dish, you're going to see how rich and deep like the flavors are because we're adding in spicy things and sweet things with this protein to cook down. Does that make sense? Yeah? Cool. So then I'm going to wash my hands, but we're going to bag this up. Everyone's going to get about a piece or two to take home to kind of let that hang out for a day, and then you can cook it as we did in class. You can cook it for your friends, you can cook it for your family. An alternate to putting it in a pot, right? We started talking about it earlier if you're outside. You can take this meat and then you can grill it and then caramelize the onions in a pot and then kind of add those all back together. Think about grilling this meat and how much flavor we can get in there and then add even more flavor like we are now. It would be so tasty. Actually, what you guys should do is come back together on maybe Friday if you could, whatever, pull out the grill and do that, right? Kitchen's over there, grill's over here. You guys can work in teams, have your own little class, teach each other, talk to each other, right? You can use a different kind of rice. You can add a bay leaf to your rice or any sort of variation, right? So I'm going to wash my hands, and then we're going to start bagging this up while I go. Can we do that? And we can continue to use my station because
6 in each bag,
6?
right?
No, it's going to be about 2 or so because it's 6, 12, 18. 18 divided by 6 is 3-ish, right? Cool. And if you need help, we have friends behind you. Cool. Excuse me. We're gonna check our chicken. This is beautiful, right?
Nice.
As I touched it, right? That was weird.
Look at that. Oh my gosh. This reminds me of like Trinidad sweet chicken.
Ooh. Okay, so this one's good. So what I'm gonna do,
Turn off.
we're gonna turn it off. Hit that button for us. And I'm gonna slide this over here. And we're just gonna let that sit. How are we doing? Ooh. That's really good. This is really good. So I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna say this is Dunzo. Slide this right here. And then once we're done with that, we can start working on our rice. Right? Hi.
Hi, we have 2 extra pieces of chicken, but we don't have an extra bag.
You don't have an extra bag. But we do, so we can put it into a container. Right? Right here.
Oh my god. The vibe is understandable.
Access to this? Okay, great. So go to YouTube Studio.
Perfect. All right, so we're gonna need these bags to go in the fridge, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Is there a carton?
Oh, of course.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. All right.
Take care of our goods and wash your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I've done a bunch of stuff before.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what it's doing here is it's going to switch accounts.
Oh, yes.
Sam and Supreme, can we? Do you know where the fridge is in the closet right there? Yeah. Can we put those in there, please?
Only 2 I can hold more.
Yeah. If you can hold more, just take what you can.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. No, this way. This one. And I got one more for you. I'll hand to you.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay. Excellent. All right, great. Thank you.
In that box, there's a box there, right? No?
So we can put on the top or something.
Oh, look, put it all on the bottom. Move that stuff that's there in the bottom and put it up top.
Where do you want me to move it?
Right, the top shelf. Put the stuff in your left hand on the top shelf and then all the chicken bags down there. And we're safe.
What's your favorite?
As you were named, the last series that you did was CNN.
So, you watched it? I went and saw it Friday. Oh, nice. Well, the thing is, he wasn't even really an amazing
Shows or like a bunch, I've only
What
seen
he
the
was is, he was an amazing food person. He traveled around the world to explore exactly this, the culture and the history and the politics of food and of place and just, and everything, and how everything is about food. Yeah, it's really. Yes.
All right, so next, great job on the chicken, everyone. It looks and smells, so right here I can't smell anything, right? And I can smell pretty well. But as soon as you step out that door, and apparently all the way down, you can smell how wonderful this is. So great job, right? We're gonna make this rice real quick. So let's put our small pot on top of our induction burner. Let's grab our rice and water. Does anyone remember how we cooked the rice last week?
Didn't we toast it?
Exactly. So last week we got the pan a little hot. We toasted the spices. We infused it with oil, and we toasted the grains, and then we added water. I am going to show you what we're going to do today. So I'm going to turn this back on. Nice 320. We're going to go 320 on it. And then I'm just going to take should just hit power. Should just hit power. Should be the far right. And then the steam button twice. 320. That should be the automatic default that it goes to. So we're going to grab our rice grains. We're going to put that into the pot. Mm-hmm. All of it. And then we're going to dump our water in. And then we're going to stir it up with our wooden spoon to make sure all the grains. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're going to pour that and then stir it all up so all the grains get broken up and they cook evenly. They don't stick together. Yeah, a little stir. And we're going to wait for that to come up. I'm just going to bump it up to 390 real quick because it should just come up to a boil. So if it comes up to a boil, and we're going to drop it back down to a simmer. And then in about 10 minutes, it should be done. So we're going to bump it up to, I have 390 up here. And then, no, we want it to come up to a boil first and then drop it back down to a simmer. So you see, if you're looking in your pot, there should probably be some action already. So we started talking about like how this dish and the ingredients used in this dish is very local to where it's from, right? So we can apply that to how we eat here, right? Because we're super lucky in the Pacific Northwest that we have a lot of farmers and people who grow things. We have a climate that's able to grow things. So I would encourage you to check out which farmers markets are close by because we can get really fresh products and we can get a really good idea of what's local and super fresh. There's a lot of farmers out there that need support right now because last year was really, really tough. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're thinking about shopping for food. Also, FeedTheMass, right? That's where I'm from, right? We are going to a farmer's market this Sunday in Woodstock, right? We're going to hang out there and just tell people about what we do. But more importantly, we're showing our presence in support of the whole farmer's market. Have you guys been to a farmer's market? Do you shop at? Yeah? Oakland? Which other ones? Hillsborough one? Is that one's pretty big, right? Right? A berry farm? Over out here? Or up in Savi's Island? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
This is the perfect time for farmers market.
Yeah, it's. I mean, so when I cook fall, like the transition from summer to fall is my favorite time to cook because of all of the things that are. How's our rice doing? It's boiling. So we're gonna drop it back down to that original temperature of exactly, right? And I have our timer here for 12 minutes. And it's started. And we're just gonna cover it. Let's go to, what's the temperature?
320.
Thank you. That's our secret, right? Guys, we're almost done. How do we feel? How do we feel today? We were doing a lot, right? Let's just check in. How do we feel? Because we're working on our knife skills, right? That takes time. Cutting takes time. It's not something to be rushed. It's super dangerous, but it's also really important if you want to cook, because we can learn how to do like really fancy, like precise dices if we're doing something for a presentation, or if we need to put something like in a soup, we need to understand that we can just do a nice big chop and we don't need to waste our time with like the really fine, precise cuts. Like we did with the onion today. We weren't making super precise. We were doing something more of like consistent slices so we get used to that motion. And you see my hand? That's the motion we should be thinking about when we're chopping, because the blade should be doing all of the work. We're all learning together, and what happened was a learning experience for everyone. It's totally okay. So when we talk about grains, right? White rice is one grain that we can be eating and cooking with. We can also, what are other grains that we are familiar with that we cook with on a daily basis, and how are they different? So, yes, brown oatmeal. So let's stick with the rice family, right? Let's stick with the rice. Mm-hmm. So we're going like long grain, short grain. So we're using white rice, and white rice in this part of the world is accessible to them, and that's what they cook with. So that's what we're doing. We're keeping it consistent with where the food is coming from, so we can get that experience. And for me, I find it as a form of respect. Let's turn it down, right? I'm gonna check mine too. Make sure nothing's crazy happening. Crazy. 210. 210 is the new temperature if it's not there. 210 is the new temperature if you're not there. So having respect for the food and where it comes from and how it's presented to us is part of culture cooking, right? So there are other forms of rice that we can cook, and they have different cooking times. So if we were to use brown rice, it would take almost twice as long, and we'd need a little bit more liquid in order to cook that. So if you want to cook another rice to go with this dish, brown rice is a great alternative.
My go-to is probably jasmine.
Jasmine rice, why is that?
I always got it. So.
Okay. That is a wonderful. Yeah, and it's cheaper to buy in bulk, right? Yeah, I buy in like my kitchen at home almost looks like a little restaurant, right? There's like mason jars that are this big, and it's like rice and beans, actually two kinds of rice. I use short grain and long grain because they have different applications, right? And then beans and then something else. Stuff that I use all the time. And I know where everything is, kind of like, oh, I need to go get rice before whatever. Yes, so I've made ramen with the tail trotters, right? So the pig's feet. So it's a, if I make ramen at home from scratch, the whole building knows because it's cooking for like 3 days, right? So I take all of the bones and the pig's feet and I put it in a pot and I boil it, strain it off, and then I boil it again. I do that to get all of the wonderful impurities out, and then I let that go for like as long as I can, almost 48 hours. I'm pulling out all the collagen. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what's right.
It's inside the bone, right? And that's gonna give us that nice like stickiness that ramen has, right?
I like that.
Mm-hmm. But it's super rich. That's super rich all by itself. Then I cut it with chicken stock. So then I make a whole other thing of chicken, which I can do quicker. And then I mix those together. And then I do a whole bunch of other stuff. Then I take like some pork and I like put a nice little dressing on it and I put it in the oven for 3 hours and I cut it nice and tender.
Do you make your noodles?
I have not been successful in making ramen noodles because there's a science. I don't like to weigh things. That's why I'm not a baker. No offense to anyone who likes to bake.
It's actually you bake some baking soda
Mm-hmm.
and you add that to water
And you just kind of like make that into a like a dough sort of situation.
And gives you the yellowness without egg.
Yeah, I just can't.
Chef Jacobsen does it.
He does from scratch.
Cultured cooking that you guys
Oh,
joined us. Some of you did. Were you
wow.
part of that class, Leslie?
was there too,
Making
Sam was
those
there.
noodles.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So she was wondering why we don't whitewash our white rice.
Why?
Because it's usually clean. That's more like.
So is the question why we don't or why do we?
Why didn't we wash the rice?
Why didn't we wash the rice? This is so good. Such a good question. So we didn't wash this rice because,
It's just the nutrients, no?
yes, I was trying to pick the words, but yeah. So essentially, the difference between brown rice and white rice is this: we strip a lot of the things off of brown rice, and we polish it to get white rice, and then we add. And then we're losing nutrients, and then we add nutrients back into it. So if we were to rinse, you're good. So if we were to rinse our rice at that point, there's an opportunity that we can be washing away the nutrients that was added back because we needed it. There are a lot of people who like to rinse their rice because it gives them a nice fluffier, non-sticky sort of consistency, or rice is actually grown in like a not so sterile clean environment, so people want to wash out those impurities.
Yeah.
It was only this year that I started rinsing rice, and that's not how I've done it, but there are certain recipes that just kind of call for it. So whatever you're comfortable with is what I say, right? There's a lot of different ways, as we find out in cooking, to get to the end result. So if you're more comfortable rinsing your rice, and if you don't want to rinse your rice, that's fine.
I thought it was like a culture thing because in like Asian countries, they're like the rice is not as clean, so they kind of just have to wash it. But like the rice factories up here, they're like clean for you guys, so we don't need to clean it.
Okay.
Like, rinse it.
So my like response to that is going to be the rice when they get the rice over there, there's a lot of places in Asia where they make rice themselves, right? So they see the process, so they rinse it because they see it as dirty, and that's okay, right? That's what we're saying? Yeah. And our rice here is, yes, a lot more polished and a lot cleaner, so it's not necessary, but it's a good practice. Like my parents wash their chicken before they cook it. They wash all of their meat. I do not do that, but that's okay to do, right? I think, are there other products that we wash that are there other products that we wash, food-wise, that we think other people don't? Vegetables. Okay. Wait, so do you,
I do wash vegetables.
you do wash vegetables?
But I don't wash the vegetables.
Yeah, for me, that's a big no-no, right? But I counter that by I try not to peel off. A lot of people just peel all vegetables right away, blah, 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 and then they cook with it. I use the peels. I want to take in all of the nutrients because the color of different vegetables give us different nutrients. And it's all in the name sometimes. So carotene, it's, that's how we get that into our system. Oh, I saw the hand. Let's check our rice real quick, make sure it's not doing anything crazy, and then I think we're almost time to eat. So we can also pull out our bowls. Oh yeah, my rice is done. My rice is done. How are we doing? Do we see holes? Do we see?
No.
Done. I feel like that's done. Do you want to use the spoon to see? So we just want to make sure there's no water at the bottom, right? There's water? Yeah, we can just let it go for a little bit longer. We still have, even though the rice is, even though my rice is done, even though my rice is done, that doesn't mean that yours has to be done. There's still 2 minutes left on the timer, so we're right on time, right? So it's okay. So we'll check it and we'll just let it go. We'll just check it and let it go. So now we know we're almost at the end, so we're gonna finish our. So we're gonna grab our olives and then we're gonna add that into the into our chicken. That's going to be our garnish. And we're just going to dump it right in and give it a nice little stir so everything kind of gets incorporated and gets to know each other. That's all right. That's okay.
You want me to stir it?
Yeah, so we're going to put it in and give it a nice gentle little stir. Right? We should be smelling all of that amazingness. And we should see tons of color, right? A little bit of white from the chicken.
Oh, my
Like
lord.
full on mix it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are 2 parts. You don't want to.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want the bean is a little bit hard.
I am. I'm the best at chicken.
Yeah, the best chicken mixer. The best? Oh.
Is there an extra bowl?
There are, but they had like
That stuff in it? I'll take this one. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna show you how we're gonna eat this today. That's my rice timer. Okay. So a little bit of rice. And then I'm going to use my tongs.
It was a little low. I think it should be perfect now.
And then all right, so I got 2 ladles. You guys want to take a look? I put the chicken bone on top of the rice. If our rice is done, just 1 second. So it should have a little bit of the olives. We're going to get a nice scoop of the onions, right? And then the chicken, and it's all of that right on top. So if our rice is done, is our rice done? Almost, no problem. We can just wait. It's,
I mean, we turned it off, so.
if you think it's done, does everyone think it's done? All right, let's start putting the rice in the bowls, and then let's start eating.
Did anybody taste it? Are we doing tastings?
Good, it's good. Oh,
Chef?
Hmm?
Are we doing tastings?
Yeah.
Did anybody taste the rice to make sure it tastes nice and fluffy?
who wants to
Crunchy?
do today?
Let's grab a spoon.
Yes, no, yes?
Did I try it? There should be tasting spoons in there.
Check in your.
Check in your bin.
If not, I'll just get you guys some.
If
No?
not, Leslie will get
No?
you some. Yeah, okay, let's.
All right. Oh, thank you.
Someone in here?
Yeah. Grab some spoons for us.
Yes, I will.
I grab that plate. Yeah.
Tiny ones and tasting spoons. Thank you.
You got it.
They should be in the thing that we got at the very back. There you go. It should be good. If I get them over, you only $5.
Mm, mm, mm,
We bought.
I found you guys. I found it.
We bought.
Leslie didn't find it. She looked lost back there.
Oh my god, they're so cute. You want to try the rice? You're so adorable. Want to try the rice?
Yeah.
You can try it.
Okay.
Okay. Try the rice?
Come on, let's try the rice. Yep.
The rice?
So we're gonna get our pot holders.
Try the rice?
We're gonna get our pot holders. Good. Done. Yep. So then if your rice is good, we can just start plating.
You did?
Is it good?
Oh, you did.
Table 2? Oh. You sure? All right. So those spoons are now dirty. So we're either gonna eat with it or we're gonna put it into the bins. We're not gonna use that to serve ourselves. Yeah.
It's not too. It's
Okay.
actually good.
Hard. Yeah. But it's okay.
It's a little hard.
Yeah.
You think it's hard? I might got a good rice.
I mean, I don't know if
Tastes
it's
really
rice. So I'm not
No, it tastes
Oh,
good
that's
to
fine,
me.
yeah.
All right.
I'll eat it.
All right. So let's grab our bowls. Let's grab our bowls. You guys want to eat, right?
Yeah,
Wait, where do you put
the bowls.
Into the dirty bin. Okay. And here we go. And then tongs. Okay. Wow, this looks beautiful, guys.
I know.
Okay.
Wow, that
There
looks.
you go.
Ooh, baby.
Take that.
I'm about to take a snap on
Wait, hold
that. Feed me, master.
Can you make one for me too? That doesn't have chicken? What do you mean no?
Wait, with what?
No chicken. Just all the vegetables.
Now you trying to be healthy.
I am.
I don't eat
Keep your fork.
My fault.
Thank you.
Between you and my son, I can just think of it. Yeah, well, you make one page of this.
Oh, you're cool.
And I do a great job of super. Oh, you're so cool. I was like, wow, Anna's just like staring off into nowhere.
Some of that wonderful liquid.
Oh yeah, that's a good scoop.
Because you were staring.
And there we go.
Thank you.
Good? This is yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, why is there an extra bowl?
Okay. Let's taste what we have. All right, guys.
I was about to say goodbye.
So that's Yassa chicken and rice. Thank you so much.
Mario, how hungry are you? Okay. Not that much.
Okay.
Hey, that's right.
You know why? I just had
It's like Star just said no.
All right, so we're taking pictures? Yeah? That's great.
And are we uploading these photos somewhere?
Are we tagging FeedTheMass?
Somewhere? So we need to tag FeedTheMass, right?
Y'all on Instagram?
Oh, we do. You should find us and follow us. We are absolutely on Instagram.
Yeah, do that boomerang. Do the boomerang.
Mm.
Oh, this is so nice.
You have like a orange.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
FeedTheMass. Excellent.
Criticizing.
Look at that.
I mean, there's one right here, but some. Do you want it?
What flavors are we tasting? I know, we're not tasting
It's
anything.
worse kind of. I think we can eat. Yeah.
You want to take your mask off?
Yeah, I didn't know you were gonna eat like that.
You guys have Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Feed the mass, right?
That's right.
I got you.
Good. Mass.
Mask.
Okay, I
Mm.
Is it like an orange symbol?
That's right. Yep.
Did everyone like olives before we? Did you like olives before? Mm-hmm. You did not. How do you feel now? A little better about it?
Yeah. So we have one take-home kit already sent home, and then this one will go, and then we got two more. One's going to his brother, and then one to Alex.
Well, thank you all. I'm assuming the silence is it's good.
Yeah. We did.
It's the window. It's the we got nothing we can do.
Supreme, have you tasted yours yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, Sam, how does it taste?
What can I do?
Yeah.
Like a French
You're our guest.
fry, or I need something.
Good.
Let me.
This is what, you know,
Yep.
obviously,